Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we're exploring one of the strangest and most revealing forces in all of medicine, the placebo effect. It begins with something that seems almost too simple to matter. A pill with no active drug. A treatment that should do nothing at all. And yet, again and again, the human mind and body respond in ways that are measurable, surprising, and deeply real. Pain can ease. Nausea can settle. Anxiety can soften. Even the brain can shift its activity, all because a person expected help, trusted the process, or felt that relief was close. The placebo effect reveals that healing is never just chemistry. It is also expectation, ritual, memory, context, and belief. It shows us that the story surrounding treatment can change what the body feels, and that hope itself can leave traces in flesh and nerve. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders relax, and notice your eyes grow heavy. And as the day begins to gently fade away, join me as we explore this fascinating hidden side of healing together. Let's begin. Sometimes a sugar pill can make real pain fade. That sounds impossible at first, because pain feels so physical, so immediate, so rooted in flesh. Yet in carefully designed studies, people given an inert pill have reported genuine relief when they believed help was on the way. This is not a case of people pretending. In placebo analgesia research, the experience of pain itself can shift. A burn can feel less sharp. An ache can seem less consuming. What changes is not the injury, but the brain's interpretation of the alarm. That matters because pain is never just a signal from the body. It is also a construction shaped by attention, memory, fear, and expectation. A small tablet with no active drug can become the spark that changes that construction. Suddenly, a person who expected suffering feels a little less trapped inside it, and that alone can feel astonishing. Your brain can release its own pharmacy of chemicals when help feels close. Hidden inside the nervous system is a chemical storehouse that can calm pain without a pill ever delivering a medicinal ingredient. When people anticipate relief, the brain can release substances that act like built-in painkillers. Among the most famous are endogenous opioids, which work on some of the same systems targeted by morphine. Researchers know this is not just a poetic idea, because placebo pain relief can be reduced or blocked by naloxone, a drug that interferes with opioid action. In other words, a person's expectation can set off chemistry powerful enough to be measured through pharmacology and imaging. The body is not imagining relief. It is participating in it. That makes the placebo effect feel less like a trick and more like a hidden talent. Beneath fear and discomfort, the brain is waiting with tools of its own, ready to answer hope with biology. The placebo effect can change symptoms, even when nothing active is given. One of the most fascinating things about this phenomenon is its range. It is not limited to one sensation or one kind of complaint. An inactive treatment can influence how people experience pain, nausea, fatigue, anxiety, and other symptoms that depend partly on how the brain interprets what the body is telling it. That does not mean a placebo can erase disease itself. It cannot kill bacteria or shrink a tumor through expectation alone. But symptoms are not small. They are what people live through hour by hour. They are the difference between enduring a day and being defeated by it. In clinical settings, the meaning attached to treatment can change those experiences in ways that are beneficial and measurable. This is why placebo responses matter so much in medical research. Without them, improvement can look like proof, even when the active ingredient did far less than anyone hoped. The leaf alone can alter pain, nausea, fatigue, and anxiety. Expectation has reach. It can soften a headache, settle the stomach, lighten the heaviness of exhaustion, and reduce the edge of worry. These are different experiences, yet they share something important. Each one is shaped by the brain as it weighs signals from the body against predictions about what is happening next. If a person strongly believes relief is arriving, that prediction can change what rises into awareness. The same uneasy flutter may feel less threatening. The same ache may feel less dominant. Even fatigue can loosen when the body stops bracing for the worst. This is part of what makes the placebo effect so captivating. It reveals that symptoms are not simply delivered to us in finished form. They are interpreted, colored, and sometimes amplified or softened by what we expect. Belief is not all-powerful, but in the right setting, it can reach farther into experience than common sense first suggests. A doctor's confidence can make the same treatment work better. Medicine is never only about molecules. It is also about the human scene in which treatment is delivered, the tone of voice, the steadiness of explanation, the sense that someone competent sees your suffering and knows what to do next. Research on placebo effects has shown that a clinician's style can shape outcomes independently of the treatment itself. The same pill can feel more promising when it arrives with clarity and reassurance. The same procedure can seem more powerful when introduced with calm authority. That is not because patients are gullible. It is because the brain is always collecting cues about danger and safety. A confident doctor can shift the balance. Suddenly, the body is no longer preparing for failure. It is preparing for relief. That change in expectation can alter symptoms in ways that are surprisingly real. Care, in that sense, begins before the treatment touches the body at all. Fake treatments can trigger real changes inside the brain. This is where the subject becomes almost surreal. A sham treatment can leave the body unchanged at the level of chemistry or surgery, yet the brain may still respond as if something meaningful has happened. Imaging studies have shown that placebo interventions can alter activity in networks involved in pain, emotion, and expectation. The brain is not passively watching the drama of treatment from a distance. It is taking part in it. Anticipation can reshape signaling. Brainstem pathways involved in pain control can become more active. Regions linked to reward and prediction can shift their behavior. In some cases, these changes echo patterns seen with active therapies, though not in identical ways. That is why placebos are so scientifically valuable. They reveal that expectation is not floating above the machinery of the brain like a ghost. It moves through circuits, alters processing, and leaves physical traces in living tissue. The body often responds to meaning, not just medicine. A pill is never just a pill. It is also a symbol. It can represent rescue, expertise, safety, modern science, or the beginning of a turning point. The placebo effect shows that the body pays attention to those meanings. An inert capsule taken in a medical setting can matter more than the same object found loose in a drawer, because context changes what it represents. A waiting room, a prescription, a clinician's words, and a familiar routine can all tell the nervous system that help has arrived. That message alone can alter symptoms. This is why the ritual of medicine matters so much. Human beings do not respond only to chemistry. We respond to stories, signals, and patterns that tell us what is happening and what to expect next. In that sense, treatment begins long before absorption and metabolism. It begins when the brain decides what an event means for survival, relief, and hope. Even sham surgery can sometimes bring real relief. Few ideas are more startling than this one. A patient can undergo the full drama of an operation, from the hospital gown to the anesthesia to the incision, and still improve even when the key surgical step was never performed. Sham surgery trials have revealed just how powerful expectation and medical ritual can be, especially for symptoms like pain and function. The operating room is such an intense setting that it tells the brain something major is being done. Recovery then unfolds inside that belief. People may move more freely, hurt less, and feel convinced that change has occurred. This does not mean surgery is fake or unnecessary. It means some procedures must prove they work beyond the effects of theatre, care, and expectation. That is one reason sham-controlled trials matter so much. They force medicine to separate the specific power of the procedure from the astonishing power of belief surrounding it. Bigger pills often feel stronger, even when they are empty. Size carries a strange kind of authority. A larger tablet can seem more serious, more advanced, and more likely to do something important, even when it contains nothing active at all. That reaction is easy to dismiss until you realize how often the brain uses appearance as evidence. We are always guessing what something means before we know what it does. A small pill may feel light, almost casual. A bigger one can feel weightier, as if more space must mean more power. Once that impression settles in, the body may begin responding to the expectation itself. Symptoms can feel more ready to shift. Relief can seem more believable. What is remarkable here is not that people are fooled. It is that the nervous system is so deeply tuned to signs of significance. In placebo science, physical scale becomes psychological force, and that force can quietly change what a person feels next. Two pills can seem more powerful than one identical pill. There is something persuasive about quantity. One pill can seem modest, almost tentative. Two can feel like a full treatment, as though doubling the ritual somehow doubles the promise. In placebo studies, that simple difference has mattered. Identical inactive pills can produce different responses depending on whether a person takes one or two, because the mind reads number as meaning. More can imply stronger care, greater attention, or a more substantial intervention. That expectation does not stay in the realm of thought for long. It can shape how symptoms are noticed, interpreted, and remembered. A person may feel that relief ought to be more likely, and that sense of likelihood can alter the experience itself. This is what makes the placebo effect so endlessly revealing. It shows that medicine is never just about ingredients. It is also about presentation, pattern, and the quiet assumptions the brain builds from the smallest details. A capsule can feel more impressive than a plain tablet. A capsule has a certain drama to it. It looks sealed, polished, and deliberate, as though it came from a more sophisticated corner of medicine. A plain tablet can seem ordinary by comparison, almost familiar enough to disappear into the background. That contrast matters because the brain is constantly judging the seriousness of what it sees. A sleeker form can suggest precision and modern design. It can feel more official, more carefully made, and therefore more likely to help. None of that changes the chemistry when the treatment is inert. What it changes is expectation, and expectation is where the placebo effect begins to gather force. The outer shell becomes part of the message. Before a person feels any change at all, the treatment has already signaled what sort of change to imagine. In that moment, appearance stops being cosmetic. It becomes part of the pathway through which meaning reaches the body. Injections often produce stronger placebo responses than pills. A swallowed tablet is familiar. A needle feels serious. It carries tension, precision, and the unmistakable impression that something powerful is about to happen. That difference in drama helps explain why placebo injections often produce stronger responses than placebo pills. The body is not only reacting to a treatment, It is reacting to the way the treatment is delivered. An injection feels more direct, more medical, and more difficult to dismiss. It can seem closer to real intervention, even when nothing active is entering the body. Once that expectation takes hold, symptoms may begin to shift more strongly. The ritual itself has become more intense, and the brain responds to intensity. This is one of the great themes of placebo science. The more elaborate the performance of care, the more persuasive it can become. A needle can therefore do more than pierce the skin. It can deepen belief, and belief can deepen response. Branded treatments can seem more effective than unbranded ones. A name can carry its own medicine. A branded treatment often arrives wrapped in signals of investment, reputation, and trust. It looks established. It feels as though someone spent years refining it, testing it, and presenting it with confidence. An unbranded version may contain the very same substance, or in placebo studies no active substance at all, yet the branded one can still seem more effective. That is because people do not meet treatments as pure chemistry. They meet them as stories about quality and authority. A familiar label can make improvement feel more plausible before anything has actually changed. Once the brain accepts that promise, symptoms may feel more ready to yield. What is so striking here is how quickly symbolism becomes biology. A logo, a polished package, and a confident name can shape the entire emotional atmosphere of treatment. In placebo science, branding becomes a modern form of therapeutic suggestion. Expensive treatments can feel stronger than cheaper-looking ones. Price can whisper a powerful message. We are used to assuming that costly things are better made, more effective, and somehow more real. That instinct can follow us straight into medicine. In placebo research, people have sometimes responded more strongly to an inactive treatment when they believed it was expensive. The chemistry had not changed. The perceived value had. That makes this effect strangely revealing. A higher price tag can make a treatment feel premium, advanced, and worth taking seriously. Once the brain embraces that idea, relief can seem more plausible and improvement easier to notice. It is not the cost itself that changes the body. It is the expectation attached to cost. That expectation can become part of the experience of treatment. Placebo science shows that even money leaves fingerprints on the mind. A number on a label can alter belief, and belief can alter what pain, fatigue, or discomfort feels like. Placebos reveal that expectation is a powerful biological force. Expectation can sound soft, almost philosophical, until science shows what it can actually do. It can change pain pathways. It can influence neurotransmitters. It can alter what the brain predicts, and those predictions can reshape what the body feels. This is one of the deepest lessons of placebo research. The future we anticipate does not stay in the realm of thought. It presses down into biology. When the brain expects danger, symptoms can intensify. When it expects relief, the nervous system can shift toward control, reward, and regulation. The body listens to forecasts. That does not mean expectation rules everything. Biology still has limits, and disease remains real whether we believe in it or not. But it does mean prediction is part of physiology. The brain is constantly preparing the body for what it thinks comes next. Placebos make that hidden preparation visible, and once you see it, medicine never looks quite the same again. You can feel better because your brain expected to feel better. That may be the simplest sentence in placebo science, and also the most profound. Before any active ingredient arrives, the brain is already building a model of what is likely to happen next. If that model includes relief, the experience of symptoms can begin to change. A person may notice less pain, less dread, less discomfort, not because the illness vanished, but because the brain stopped amplifying every signal as a threat. This predictive side of human experience is easy to miss in daily life. We assume we feel first and interpret later. Very often the opposite is also true. The brain predicts first, then helps shape what feeling becomes. That is why expectation can be so potent. It reaches forward into the next moment and prepares the body accordingly. In the placebo effect, that preparation can become a source of comfort, proving that hope sometimes has a physiology of its own. The color of a pill can influence what people expect it to do. Long before any treatment reaches the stomach, the brain has already started making predictions. A pill does not arrive as a blank object. It arrives with a look, a mood, and a suggestion. Across studies, certain colors have tended to feel calming, while others have felt energizing or more potent. That means an inactive tablet can still set a whole story in motion simply through what the eye sees first. A soft blue may seem more suited to rest. A bright red may seem more forceful, more immediate, more likely to spark change. None of that lives in the chemistry. It lives in expectation. That is what makes this so fascinating. A tiny layer of dye can help shape how the body prepares for what comes next. Even before swallowing, the mind is leaning one way or another. In placebo research, color becomes a clue to how deeply human healing is tied to meaning. A glowing machine can create trust before it does anything. There is a special kind of power in medical technology. A machine with lights, displays, and exact movements can feel authoritative before it has delivered any real benefit. It looks precise. It looks expensive. It looks as though it belongs to a world beyond ordinary guesswork. That appearance alone can shape expectation. A person facing a device that hums, flashes, or surrounds the body may feel that something significant is taking place, even if the device is inactive in a placebo setting. The brain often reads complexity as competence. The more advanced the treatment appears, the more believable relief can become. That is why sham devices have been so revealing in research. They show how quickly the ritual of technology can influence symptoms. A machine does not need to heal in the literal sense to create an atmosphere of possibility. And in placebo science, that atmosphere can become part of what the body responds to. Medical rituals can shape healing before any drug begins. Healing often starts before the treatment itself. It begins with the waiting room, the examination, the questions asked in an orderly way, the clinician who listens and then explains what will happen next. These steps may seem like mere preparation, yet they can carry tremendous force. Human beings respond deeply to ritual, especially when ritual signals safety, structure, and attention. The clinical routine tells the brain that the situation is being handled. It replaces uncertainty with sequence. That matters because symptoms often feel worse when they unfold in confusion or fear. The ritual of care creates the opposite feeling. It suggests that change is possible and that the path toward it has already begun. In placebo science, this matters enormously. A person can start feeling different before any active ingredient reaches the bloodstream, simply because the whole ceremony of treatment has altered what the nervous system expects. Order itself can become therapeutic. White coats and careful words can amplify expectations. A white coat is more than clothing. It carries the weight of training, authority, and a long cultural history of expertise. Careful words do something similar. They shape the emotional climate of treatment before anything else happens. A calm explanation can reduce fear. A confident tone can make improvement feel possible. In the placebo effect, those signals matter because the brain is always asking whether it is entering danger or safety. A trusted appearance and a reassuring voice can tip that answer towards safety. Once that happens, the body may stop bracing so hard. Symptoms can feel less overwhelming. Relief can feel closer. This is not about performance in a shallow sense. It is about the way human beings respond to signs of competence and care. In a medical setting, fabric and language become part of the treatment environment. And that environment can quietly shape the biology of expectation in ways that are surprisingly powerful. The placebo effect is especially powerful in the treatment of pain. Pain is one of the clearest places to see the placebo effect at work, because pain is never just a raw signal. It is an experience assembled by the brain from sensation, attention, memory, emotion, and prediction. That makes it especially responsive to expectation. If the mind believes relief is coming, pain can lose some of its sharpness, its urgency, or its emotional grip. The signal from the body may still be present, yet the suffering can change. That is what makes pain such a fascinating subject in placebo science. It reveals that the nervous system is not simply reporting damage like a machine reading a gauge. It is interpreting what matters, how dangerous it feels, and what might happen next. In that interpretive space, expectation can do real work. Few areas of medicine show the meeting of mind and body more vividly. Pain becomes a window into how belief can become experience. The brain can dampen pain by releasing its own opioids. Hidden inside the nervous system is a powerful pain control system that does not wait for a pharmacy. Under the right conditions, the brain can release its own opioid chemicals, which act on some of the same pathways targeted by major pain medicines. That is one reason placebo analgesia is so astonishing. When a person expects relief, the brain may answer that expectation with chemistry from within. This is not a vague metaphor. It is a biological event. The body begins participating in its own pain control because the mind has judged that help is near. That changes the whole picture of what a placebo can be. It is not merely an illusion layered on top of discomfort. It can involve real neurochemical action unfolding beneath awareness. The idea is almost breathtaking. A person can swallow an inert pill, believe relief is coming, and then have the brain begin releasing substances that genuinely soften the pain experience from the inside. Expecting relief can switch on real pain control circuits. The promise of relief can start a chain reaction in the brain before any medicine has had time to act. That reaction moves through actual neural circuits involved in regulating pain. Instead of passively receiving discomfort, the brain begins adjusting how strongly painful signals will matter. Attention shifts. Threat softens. Control systems become more engaged. The result can be a genuine reduction in what pain feels like. What makes this so compelling is that expectation stops sounding abstract once you see it this way. It becomes part of the machinery. A thought about the future turns into activity and living tissue. The brain begins preparing for a safer outcome, and that preparation changes the present. Placebo research keeps revealing the same remarkable truth. Predictions are not idle mental decorations. They are instructions the nervous system takes seriously. In the case of pain, those instructions can travel through real control pathways and make suffering less intense. A placebo can change how much pain hurts, not just what people say. It is tempting to imagine that placebo effects live only in language, as if people simply report feeling better because they want to be agreeable or hopeful. Pain research tells a more interesting story. The experience itself can shift. A painful stimulus may feel less intense. A person may tolerate it longer. The body may react differently to it. What changes is not merely the description, but the way the nervous system processes the event. That matters because pain is not a fixed object waiting to be measured like a stone on a scale. It is a lived experience shaped by context and expectation at every stage. When placebo responses occur, they can alter that experience in a meaningful way. This makes pain one of the most powerful demonstrations of the mind's role in medicine. The suffering is not fabricated. It is transformed. And that transformation shows how flexible the boundary between sensation and interpretation can be. Pain relief from placebos can be blocked by opioid antagonists. One of the most elegant discoveries in placebo science came from a simple question. If placebo pain relief is real, can it be interrupted by blocking the body's opioid system? The answer turned out to be yes. In important experiments, researchers gave people an opioid antagonist, a drug that interferes with opioid activity, and some of the placebo-based pain relief disappeared. That finding was extraordinary because it showed that expectation had been working through genuine biological pathways. The body was not simply pretending to feel better. It was engaging its own pain regulation chemistry, and when that chemistry was blocked, the effect weakened. Few results have done more to change how scientists think about the placebo effect. Suddenly, the phenomenon looked less like suggestion and more like mechanism. Psychology and pharmacology met in a single experiment. Hope had reached down into the body, and the body had responded in a way that could be interrupted, measured, and understood. Some placebo pain relief begins before the treatment even starts. The body can begin changing in anticipation. That is one of the strangest and most fascinating features of placebo analgesia. The person may start moving toward relief before the inert pill is swallowed, before the sham cream is applied, or before the procedure officially begins. The expectation itself can start altering the nervous system early. A clinician's words, the sight of instruments being prepared, or the familiar pattern of a treatment routine can all signal that help is about to arrive. Once that happens, the brain begins preparing for a different future, and that preparation can soften pain in the present. This shows that placebo responses are not simply reactions after the fact. They can be forecasts made by the body. The mind sees the next moment coming and starts arranging sensation around it. Relief, in that sense, does not always wait politely for treatment. Sometimes it starts entering the room before treatment does. Watching others improve can make your own symptoms ease. Human beings learn from each other with extraordinary speed. We copy expressions, absorb moods, and read signs of danger or safety from the people around us. The placebo effect can travel along that same social pathway. When someone watches another person respond well to a treatment, even a sham one, the observer may begin expecting a similar outcome. That expectation can shape the body's response in turn. In pain studies, people have sometimes felt less discomfort simply because they saw someone else appear to benefit first. It is a striking reminder that healing is not always solitary. The nervous system is social. It uses other people as evidence for what may happen next. That means relief can spread through example, almost like confidence moving from one body to another. Placebo science becomes even more captivating at that point, because it shows that what we witness in others can help write the script our own symptoms follow. Past experiences can train the body to respond again. The body remembers more than we often realize. If a real treatment has reliably brought relief in the past, the brain can begin linking that relief to the whole ritual surrounding it. A certain taste, a pill shape, a clinic room, or a familiar sequence of care can all become cues that predict improvement. Later, those cues may trigger part of the response again, even when the active ingredient is missing. This is where placebo science meets learning. The nervous system has been trained by experience. It no longer waits for proof each time. It sees the pattern and starts preparing for the same outcome. That makes the placebo effect feel less mysterious and more deeply biological. It is not only about belief in the moment. It is also about memory carved into expectation. The body has learned what healing looks like, sounds like, and feels like, then begins responding when those signs return. Relief can grow stronger when treatment follows a trusted pattern. A predictable routine can become a source of power in its own right. When treatment follows a trusted pattern, the mind begins to settle into it. The same time of day, the same steps, the same setting, and the same reassuring sequence can all make relief feel more likely. That matters because the brain is constantly looking for signals that the world is understandable and safe. Consistency provides those signals. It replaces uncertainty with familiarity, and familiarity can strengthen expectation. Over time, the pattern itself can begin to carry therapeutic force. A person may feel change beginning sooner, simply because the ritual has become reliable. What is so intriguing about this is that routine can start acting like part of the treatment rather than merely the container around it. In placebo science, trust is not always built from grand gestures. Sometimes it grows from repetition, from the steady feeling that this is the way help arrives. The brain sometimes learns healing cues like a conditioned reflex. There is something almost uncanny about this. A healing cue can become so familiar, but the body starts responding to it automatically, as if relief has become a reflex. A certain smell, a clinic setting, a pill's shape, or the sound of a routine being explained can all become linked with improvement through repetition. Once those associations are strong enough, the cue alone may trigger part of the response. That is classical conditioning brought into medicine. What begins as a conscious treatment experience can become a deeply learned pattern inside the nervous system. The body no longer needs a full argument each time. It recognizes the signal and starts moving in the expected direction. This helps explain why placebo effects can become surprisingly robust when they are paired with repeated past success. The brain has learned a language of healing cues, and sometimes it answers that language as quickly as it answers any well-trained reflex. Placebos can still work even when patients know the truth. For a long time, the placebo effect seemed to depend on a little bit of theatre. Surely it only worked if the patient believed the pill contained real medicine. Then studies began to overturn that assumption. People were openly told that they were receiving a placebo, and some still improved. That finding is astonishing because it suggests the body can respond to the act of treatment even when the mind knows the capsule is inert. The explanation itself becomes part of the experience. Patients are told that the body sometimes responds to ritual, expectation, and the treatment setting. They swallow the pill with that idea in mind, and symptoms can still begin to ease. It feels almost paradoxical. The conscious mind knows the truth, yet the deeper systems involved in expectation and symptom processing may still lean toward relief. Placebo science becomes far stranger at that point, and far more interesting. Open-label placebos challenge the idea that deception is required. The old image of placebo medicine involves trickery, a doctor hiding the truth, and a patient improving because of a false belief. Open-label placebos disrupt that whole picture. In these studies, nothing is hidden. The patient is told directly that the pill contains no active drug. Then comes the remarkable part. Some people still report less pain, less fatigue, or less distress. That means deception may not be the essential ingredient after all. What may matter more is the therapeutic frame around the treatment, the explanation, the regular ritual, and the invitation to let the body respond. This creates a fascinating new possibility for medicine. Relief might be encouraged honestly, without pretending that chemistry is present when it is not. That changes the ethics of the whole subject. The placebo effect stops looking like a party trick and starts looking like a deeper feature of how human beings respond to care. Knowing a pill is inert does not always cancel its power. At first, that sounds absurd. If someone knows a pill contains nothing active, why would the body respond at all? Yet that question cuts straight to one of the most surprising findings in placebo research. Awareness does not always shut the effect down. In some cases, the act of taking the pill still creates a response, as though the ritual itself keeps speaking to the nervous system even after the secret is out. That may be because the body is not ruled by conscious logic alone. Habits, expectations, prior experiences, and the medical setting can still shape what symptoms feel like. A person can understand that a capsule is inert and still carry a quiet sense that the treatment process may help. Once that possibility opens, the body may begin changing in response. The result feels almost contradictory, but human biology often does. Knowledge and response do not always march in perfect step. Honesty and ritual can sometimes work together in medicine. Medicine often feels strongest when it combines truth with form. A clinician explains clearly what a treatment is, what it is not, and what researchers have found about the body's ability to respond to expectation and care. Then the patient still takes the capsule, follows the routine, and returns to that same rhythm day after day. That pairing of openness and ritual is what makes open-label placebo research so compelling. It suggests that honesty does not have to strip medicine of all symbolic power. In fact, the ritual may work better because it is no longer burdened by deception. The patient is invited into the process rather than misled by it. That can build trust, and trust has enormous influence over the treatment experience. The remarkable part is that the body may still respond to the sequence itself, to the regular act of being cared for, even when no one is pretending the pill contains medicine. Some patients improve after being told they are taking a placebo. This is one of those findings that seems to resist common sense. Imagine a patient being handed a bottle clearly labeled placebo, then being told that the capsules contain no active medicinal ingredient. Most people would expect the story to end there. Yet for some patients, that is where improvement begins. Symptoms may ease. Discomfort may become less dominant. Distress may loosen its grip. What makes this so fascinating is that it reveals a gap between what we think should happen and what the body sometimes does. The improvement does not mean disease has been cured by emptiness. It means the treatment context still matters. A person may respond to the act of care, to the expectation that the body can sometimes help itself, and to the repeated ritual of taking something in a medical frame. That is a quietly revolutionary idea. Relief may not depend entirely on concealment after all. Expectation can survive even after the secret is revealed. You might think the placebo effect would vanish the moment a patient learns the truth. Instead, expectation can linger in more subtle forms. Once someone has been told that the body can respond to treatment rituals, that symptoms are shaped by context, and that placebo effects are genuine experiences rather than pure pretense, a new expectation can take hold. It is no longer the expectation of hidden chemistry. It is the expectation that the body may still shift within a meaningful treatment setting. That is a very different kind of hope, but it is hope all the same. The mind does not simply go blank because the secret is revealed. It updates the story. A person may stop expecting a drug effect and start expecting a mind-body response instead. In placebo science, that shift matters enormously. It shows that expectation is flexible. It can survive truth, adapt to truth, and in some cases still change what symptoms feel like. The body may respond to care itself, not just concealment. One of the deepest lessons in placebo research is that care is not a neutral wrapper around treatment. It is part of the event. A person enters a room, is listened to, examined, reassured, and guided through a structured process. That alone can change the way symptoms are experienced. The body may become less vigilant. Fear may loosen. The nervous system may stop sounding the alarm quite so loudly. If that is true, then concealment is only one possible route into a placebo response, and perhaps not the most important one. The response may arise because care itself is biologically meaningful. Attention, safety, trust. and structure are not abstract comforts. They are signals that the body interprets. That is why this subject feels so profound. It suggests that medicine works not only through chemistry and procedures, but also through the human experience of being cared for in a deliberate and believable way. A healing routine can matter even when everyone knows the pill is empty. Routine can train the body into a different state. A person wakes, takes the capsule at the same hour, drinks the same glass of water, and follows the same sequence every day. Even if everyone involved knows the pill contains nothing active, the routine itself can begin to matter. It becomes a repeated signal that this is the moment help is invited in. The body is highly sensitive to patterned behavior. Repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity can build expectation. Over time, the act may feel less like swallowing an inert object and more like entering a practiced state of care. That is one reason open-label placebo research is so intriguing. It suggests the nervous system may respond to consistency and meaning, not only to secrecy. A regular healing ritual can become persuasive in its own right. The capsule may be empty, yet the process surrounding it can still guide symptoms toward a different experience. Placebos can work through context, habit, and hope together. It is tempting to search for one single engine behind every placebo effect, but the truth is richer than that. Context matters because the setting tells the brain what kind of event is unfolding. Habit matters because repeated treatment routines can train the body to anticipate a certain outcome. Hope matters because the expectation of improvement can soften distress and change how symptoms are processed. When these forces come together, the effect can become surprisingly powerful. A patient in a trusted medical setting, following a familiar ritual, while holding even a modest sense that relief might be possible, is entering a very different internal state from someone who feels abandoned, confused, and doubtful. That difference can shape real experience. Placebo science is so captivating because it refuses to reduce healing to a single pathway. Meaning arrives from many directions at once, and the body may answer that convergence with genuine change. Sometimes the explanation becomes part of the treatment. A good explanation does more than inform. It organizes fear. It gives shape to uncertainty and replaces chaos with a story the mind can live inside. In placebo research, that can matter enormously. When patients are told how expectation, ritual, and symptom perception interact, the explanation itself may begin to act like part of the treatment. It reframes what is happening in the body. Instead of waiting for a secret drug effect, the patient is invited to see the nervous system as responsive, adaptable, and capable of participating in relief. That shift can change what symptoms mean from moment to moment. A sensation that once felt ominous may feel more manageable. A routine that once seemed pointless may feel worth following. In this way, language becomes active. Words do not merely describe the treatment. They help create the conditions in which the treatment is experienced. Sometimes the mind heals more easily when it understands the script. The nocebo effect is the placebo effect's darker twin. If expectation can ease symptoms, it can also sharpen them. That unsettling mirror image is known as the nocebo effect. Here, a person anticipates harm, side effects, or worsening discomfort, and that expectation begins shaping the body in exactly that direction. An inert pill may suddenly seem to cause headaches. A harmless procedure may feel more painful than it otherwise would. The mind braces for trouble, and the nervous system may answer with real symptoms. This is what makes the nocebo effect so disturbing and so important. It reveals that expectation is not naturally kind. It is powerful, but it can move in either direction. Hope may soothe, yet fear may aggravate. Placebo science becomes much more complete once this darker half is included. The same brain that can soften pain when relief feels near can also intensify suffering when danger feels close. Prediction is a biological force, whether it comforts or harms. Expecting side effects can make harmless things feel unpleasant. The body pays close attention to warnings. Tell someone that a treatment may cause nausea, dizziness, or fatigue, and those sensations can become easier to notice, easier to interpret as meaningful, and harder to ignore. In nocebo research, people given harmless substances sometimes report genuine side effects simply because they expected them. That does not mean they are inventing the symptoms. It means expectation changes the way internal signals are monitored and judged. A minor flutter in the stomach may suddenly feel important. A passing lightheaded moment may become a sign of trouble. Once the brain begins scanning for evidence of harm, ordinary sensations can take on a new intensity. This is one of the most fascinating and troubling lessons in placebo science. The mind does not simply wait for symptoms to arrive from the outside. It helps decide which sensations are amplified, which are feared, and which become the center of attention. Warning someone about pain can sometimes make pain worse. A warning can protect, but it can also prepare suffering. When a person is told that a procedure may hurt, the brain begins orienting toward that possibility. Muscles tense. Attention narrows. The nervous system becomes more alert for danger. All of that can increase the intensity of what is felt. In nocebo research, expectations of pain can heighten pain itself, even when the physical stimulus remains unchanged. This is not because warnings are inherently bad. Honest communication matters deeply in medicine. What it reveals, though, is that words do more than transfer information. They shape anticipation, and anticipation can alter experience. A person who's primed for sharp discomfort may enter the moment already braced for it, which makes the nervous system less flexible and more reactive. The result is a difficult paradox. The very language meant to prepare someone for pain can sometimes help create a harsher version of that pain. Negative expectations can create real symptoms in the body. The mind's darker forecasts can leave a real mark on the body. Expectation does not need an external injury or a toxic substance to begin shaping symptoms. If a person strongly believes something will cause harm, the body may respond with headaches, nausea, dizziness, fatigue, itching, or pain, even when the trigger itself is harmless. That is what makes the nocebo effect so extraordinary. It reveals that symptoms can emerge from prediction, not only from damage. The body is not faking. It is reacting to a future the brain has judged as threatening. Once that judgment is made, stress systems can awaken, attention can narrow, and harmless sensations can be transformed into disturbing experiences. This does not mean every unexplained symptom is expectation-driven. It means expectation is far more biologically potent than most people assume. A fearful prediction can become a physical event, and that makes the nocebo effect one of medicine's most haunting realities. Fear can turn uncertainty into headaches, nausea, or fatigue. Uncertainty is rarely empty. The mind tends to fill it with possibilities, and fear often supplies the darkest ones. In a medical setting, that can become especially powerful. A person waiting for bad news, worried about side effects, or unsure what a new treatment might do, can begin feeling genuinely unwell before anything harmful has occurred. A dull pressure may become a headache. A slight unease may turn into nausea. Heavy thoughts can spread into full body fatigue. Fear acts like an interpreter, translating uncertainty into symptom. The body becomes more vigilant, more tense, and more willing to treat ordinary sensations as signs of trouble. That is one reason the nocebo effect matters so much in real life. It shows that suffering does not always arrive from the outside. Sometimes it emerges from the nervous system's attempt to prepare for possible harm. Anxiety does not just cloud thought. It can reshape what the body feels. Side effects sometimes appear because people were primed to notice them. Attention has a strange power over the body. A sensation that would normally pass beneath notice can become vivid the moment someone has been told to watch for it. In medicine, that means side effects may sometimes arise not because a treatment caused a new symptom, but because the person was primed to detect and interpret an ordinary sensation differently. A brief flush becomes meaningful. A minor stomach shift becomes suspicious. A tired moment acquires the label of treatment-related fatigue. Once attention locks on, the experience can intensify. The symptom becomes more central simply because it has been invited into awareness. This is not dishonesty. It is perception under the influence of expectation. The nocebo effect shows how strongly the brain shapes what stands out from the endless stream of internal signals. Priming can turn background noise into foreground discomfort, and once that happens, the symptom can feel every bit as real as one caused directly by chemistry. A troubling leaflet can shape symptoms before treatment begins. Imagine sitting in a waiting room reading a list of possible side effects before you have swallowed a single pill. Headache, nausea, dizziness, fatigue, dry mouth, tingling, palpitations. By the time the leaflet ends, the body may already feel different. That is the nocebo effect creeping in through language alone. A detailed warning sheet is meant to inform, yet it can also seed expectation. Once those possibilities are planted, the mind begins scanning the body for evidence that they are arriving. Harmless sensations that would normally drift by can suddenly take on weight and meaning. The leaflet has not merely provided knowledge, it has shaped attention and anticipation. This creates one of medicine's most delicate balancing acts. Patients deserve honesty, yet honesty itself can sometimes influence what symptoms are later felt. A page of printed caution can become a surprisingly active part of the treatment experience, even before treatment has started. The mind can brace the body for harm that never arrives. Bracing is useful when danger is real. Muscles tighten, attention sharpens, breathing changes, and the body prepares for impact. The trouble is that the mind can launch the same preparation even when harm never comes. In the nocebo effect, expectation alone can set this process in motion. A person told to anticipate discomfort may become tense before a harmless procedure. Someone warned about side effects may begin scanning every sensation with suspicion. The nervous system shifts into defense, and that shift can create genuine distress all by itself. Pain may feel stronger, nausea may rise, fatigue may spread. The body has prepared for injury and ended up manufacturing part of the suffering in advance. That is what makes this subject so compelling. Human biology is predictive. It acts on what seems likely, not only on what is actually happening. And sometimes that prediction makes the body suffer for a danger that never arrives. Bad expectations can spread from person to person surprisingly fast. Symptoms can travel socially, not like germs, but like forecasts. If one person in a group begins describing alarming side effects, fear can move quickly through the others. Suddenly, everyone starts monitoring their own body more closely. Normal sensations gain new meaning. Anxiety spreads, and symptoms may begin appearing in clusters. This is one of the strangest features of nocebo phenomena. Expectation can become contagious. Stories, expressions, and group mood all help shape what people anticipate. And what people anticipate can change what they feel. In medical settings, families, online communities, and waiting rooms can all become channels for this effect. A single worried account can alter the treatment experience of many others who hear it. That makes nocebo science deeply social as well as biological. We do not form expectations in isolation. We borrow them from each other, And once they take hold, the body may begin following the script. A single alarming story can influence how a treatment feels. Human beings are built to remember stories more vividly than statistics. A doctor may explain that a treatment is usually well tolerated, yet one dramatic tale about a terrible reaction can overshadow all of that. Once the story settles in the mind, the treatment may feel different before it has even begun. The person enters the experience expecting trouble. Every sensation is then judged against that alarming narrative. A harmless flutter becomes suspicious. A passing ache feels loaded with meaning. This is one reason nocebo effects can be so hard to avoid. Stories are emotionally sticky. They give fear a shape and a sequence. In a way, they are miniature rehearsals for suffering. The body listens to that rehearsal and may begin acting it out. That is what makes a single alarming story so powerful. It does not merely describe a bad outcome. It can help create the conditions in which a treatment feels worse. Placebo effects can be measured in brain scans, not just conversations. For years, skeptics dismissed placebos as little more than polite reporting. They imagined patients saying they felt better because they wanted to please the doctor, or because they had talked themselves into optimism. Brain imaging helped crack that idea open. When researchers placed volunteers into scanners and gave them placebo treatments, they did not just hear different stories afterward. They saw different patterns of activity unfolding inside the brain. Regions involved in pain, expectation, and attention changed their behavior in ways that matched the person's altered experience. That is what makes this so striking. The placebo effect does not live only in language. It leaves traces in tissue, circuitry, and measurable brain dynamics. A scanner cannot read hope like a poem, yet it can reveal that hope has altered the machinery of experience. Suddenly, the placebo effect stops looking like a conversational illusion and starts looking like biology caught in the act. Imaging studies show expectation-changing activity in pain networks. Pain does not rise from the body and arrive in the mind untouched. It passes through a network of brain regions that evaluate threat, emotion, memory, and control. Imaging studies have shown that expectation can change how that network behaves. When people anticipate relief, areas involved in pain processing can become less reactive, while regions linked to control and regulation may grow more active. This matters because it reveals that a prediction is not just a thought floating above sensation. It reaches down into the system that builds the pain experience itself. That is one reason placebo analgesia feels so profound. A person does not merely reinterpret pain after it happens. The brain may begin shaping the signal differently as it moves through the network. Relief becomes part of the processing, not just the retelling. The image on the screen is not simply interesting data. It is a snapshot of expectation becoming part of the pain pathway. Brain chemistry shifts when people anticipate relief. The mind does not wait quietly for a symptom to change. It begins preparing the body long before that moment arrives. One of the clearest signs of this preparation comes from chemistry. When people believe relief is on the way, the brain can alter the release and balance of important signaling molecules. This is one reason the placebo effect is so much more than suggestion. Anticipation can change the chemical environment in which sensation, mood, and expectation are being processed. The person may feel calmer, less threatened, and more ready for improvement because the brain is already behaving as though help is near. That shift is not imaginary. It is built from real biological changes unfolding in real time. What makes this so captivating is the sequence. A thought about what may happen next becomes a physiological event. The body begins leaning toward a better future because the brain has started preparing for it chemically. Placebo responses can involve dopamine as well as opioids. Opioids often get the most attention in placebo science because of their role in pain relief, yet they are not the whole story. Dopamine also enters the picture, and that makes the subject even more fascinating. Dopamine is deeply tied to motivation, reward, and the sense that something valuable may be about to happen. When a person expects treatment to help, that expectation may activate systems associated with reward prediction, not just pain control. In a way, the brain treats the possibility of relief like a meaningful opportunity, something worth orienting toward. That matters because symptoms are not only about discomfort, they are also about hope, drive, and the emotional meaning of what comes next. Once dopamine joins the process, the placebo effect starts to look like a meeting point between medicine and anticipation. The brain is not just reducing suffering. It may also be responding to the promise of improvement, as if it were a reward on the horizon. Reward circuits may light up when healing feels possible. There is something almost beautiful about this. The brain can respond to the possibility of healing the way it responds to the possibility of reward. When a treatment seems promising, circuits involved in anticipation, motivation, and positive expectation may become more active. That means the feeling that relief is possible can itself become an event the brain cares about deeply. A patient does not need to be fully cured in that instant. The mere opening of possibility can matter. The nervous system may shift into a more hopeful and responsive mode because it senses that something valuable could be near. This helps explain why the placebo effect can feel so powerful before symptoms have changed much at all. The body is already orienting toward improvement. The mind is not just waiting for healing, it is preparing for it. In that moment, possibility becomes biologically important, and the brain treats hope almost like something worth reaching toward. Anticipation can shape sensation before the body receives anything active. A treatment does not need to enter the bloodstream before the experience begins to change. Anticipation can get there first. A person who believes relief is coming may start feeling different while the pill is still in the hand, while the cream is still being prepared, or while the clinician is still explaining what will happen next. The body listens to forecasts. If the brain predicts safety, symptoms can begin softening in advance. If it predicts discomfort, the opposite may happen. This makes anticipation one of the most powerful forces in placebo science. It reveals that sensation is not simply a delayed reaction to chemistry. It is also shaped by what the nervous system expects the near future to hold. The mind reaches forward, forms a prediction, and the body begins adjusting in the present. That is an extraordinary thing. Experience starts changing before the supposed cause has even arrived, because expectation arrived first and the body took it seriously. The brain can prepare for improvement like it prepares for reward. The brain is a prediction machine. It is always scanning for signs that something important is about to happen, then beginning to prepare before the event fully arrives. That is true for food, safety, praise, and reward, and it appears to be true for healing as well. When a treatment seems credible and relief feels likely, the brain may begin organizing itself around that possibility. Attention shifts. Motivation rises. Threat may feel lower. The body enters a state that is more open to change because the brain has already started treating improvement as a meaningful future event. This is one reason the placebo effect feels so rich. It does not only reduce symptoms after they appear, it can change the whole emotional and physiological posture of the person waiting for change. In a real sense, the brain starts leaning toward relief. It prepares for improvement the way it prepares for something valuable it believes may be close. Placebo responses reveal that meaning can become biology. A pill is made of matter, but it is also made of meaning. It can stand for expertise, reassurance, modern medicine, or the feeling that a turning point has begun. The placebo effect reveals that these meanings do not stay in the realm of symbols. They can become biological events. Heart rate may shift. Stress may ease. Pain pathways may quiet. Brain chemistry may change. That is what makes placebo science so extraordinary. It shows that meaning is not just decoration layered on top of the body. It is one of the forces the body responds to. Humans do not experience treatment as pure chemistry. We experience it through stories, expectations, rituals, and relationships. Those things feel intangible at first, yet they can shape physiology in measurable ways. The meaning of treatment can travel inward and alter the machinery of sensation. Once you see that, medicine starts to look larger, stranger, and more deeply human than a simple chemical transaction. A hopeful prediction can ripple through the nervous system. Hope often sounds soft, almost too delicate to matter in scientific terms. Yet in placebo research, a hopeful prediction can trigger changes that spread across the nervous system in a very concrete way. The moment the brain begins to expect improvement, it may alter attention, pain regulation, emotional tone, and bodily readiness. Those changes do not stay isolated in one corner of the mind. They ripple outward. Muscles may relax. Threat may diminish. Symptoms may feel less dominant or less urgent. The whole internal atmosphere can shift because the nervous system is responding to what it thinks is coming next. That is why hope in this context is not simple optimism. It is a forecast with biological consequences. The body takes that forecast seriously. What begins as a prediction in the mind may travel through networks of control, emotion, and sensation, gradually changing what experience feels like from the inside. Hope can move through nerves, not just thoughts. Relief often begins in the brain before it reaches the symptom. When people imagine healing, they often picture the symptom changing first. The pain fades. The nausea settles. The body grows lighter. Placebo science suggests the sequence may begin somewhere earlier and less visible. Relief often starts in the brain, in the form of prediction, attention, and altered processing, before the person notices a shift in the symptom itself. The mind creates a new expectation, and the nervous system begins adjusting around that expectation. Only then does the symptom feel different to the person living through it. This is a subtle but powerful idea. It means the path to relief may begin in interpretation before it appears in sensation. The body does not always wait for symptoms to change on their own. The brain may change how those symptoms are built and experienced from the start. In that sense, relief often begins upstream, in the systems that shape perception, long before it arrives in conscious awareness as improvement. Sham surgery has sometimes worked almost as well as the real thing. Few discoveries in placebo science are as startling as this one. In some clinical trials, patients underwent sham surgeries that mimicked the ritual of a real operation, yet omitted the key therapeutic step, and still improved nearly as much as patients who received the full procedure. That finding is extraordinary because surgery feels like the most concrete kind of medicine imaginable. There are scalpels, anesthesia, recovery rooms, and stitches. It seems impossible that ritual could rival mechanism in such a setting, yet sometimes it has come surprisingly close. This does not mean surgery is fake. It means some symptoms are powerfully shaped by expectation, context, and the deep significance patients attach to an operation. The body may begin recovering within that story, even when the crucial physical correction was never made. Sham surgery trials force medicine to ask uncomfortable and fascinating questions about where healing truly comes from and how much of treatment lives in belief. An operation ceremony can influence recovery in surprising ways. Surgery is never just a technical act. It is also one of the most elaborate rituals in medicine. The fasting, the hospital gown, the consent forms, the bright lights, the wheeled bed, the masked staff. the anesthetic countdown, all of it builds the sense that something decisive is happening. That ceremony can matter more than it seems. A patient may wake from the experience feeling that a major problem has been addressed, and that feeling can shape recovery in powerful ways. Pain may feel more manageable. Movement may become easier. Confidence may rise. The body responds not only to what was done, but to what the whole event meant. That is one reason placebo procedures had been so revealing. They show that the drama and seriousness of an operation can become part of the healing process. The ceremony tells the brain that change has occurred, and the nervous system may begin acting in accordance with that story. Incisions and anesthesia can create powerful expectations of change. An incision is not subtle. Neither is anesthesia. Together they form one of the strongest signals medicine can send that something profound has been done. A patient goes under, loses time, then wakes marked by the visible signs of intervention. Even before recovery fully begins, the whole experience announces that the body has crossed a threshold. That alone can create an enormous expectation of change. Pain that once felt permanent may now feel temporary. Symptoms may seem newly negotiable. The person may believe, with total sincerity, that healing has begun because the ordeal itself was so decisive. This is what makes sham surgical research so remarkable. Even when the therapeutic core is absent, the incision and anesthesia can still carry enormous symbolic force. The body does not ignore that force. It responds to the meaning of the event as well as the mechanics. In surgery, expectation can be sharpened by scars, sleep, and seriousness. Procedure-based placebos raise some of medicine's hardest ethical questions. The science is fascinating, but the ethics are thorny. A placebo procedure can reveal whether a surgery or intervention works beyond its ritual and context, yet it often requires patients to undergo some degree of risk without guaranteed physical benefit. That creates one of the hardest dilemmas in modern medicine. How far should researchers go in order to discover the truth about a treatment? If the procedure itself carries danger, even a small one, can deception or partial disclosure ever be justified in the name of evidence? At the same time, not asking the question can leave ineffective interventions in place for years, exposing countless future patients to unnecessary harm. This is why placebo procedures sit at such an uneasy crossroads. They are scientifically powerful and morally complicated. They force medicine to balance honesty, risk, knowledge, and care, all at once. Few parts of placebo research reveal the ethical weight of healing quite so clearly. Fake interventions can expose how much healing comes from context. A sham procedure strips away the active ingredient and leaves behind everything else. The setting remains. The white coats remain. The preparation, the technology, the seriousness, and the patient's hope all remain. What disappears is the supposed therapeutic mechanism. That is why sham interventions are so revealing. They let researchers see how much improvement might have come from context alone. If patients still feel better afterward, then the environment, the ritual, and the meaning attached to treatment were doing more work than anyone had guessed. This does not make the improvement unreal. It makes the treatment experience far more layered than it first appears. Healing may have been carried partly by expectation, attention, reassurance, and the sense that something meaningful had happened. In that way, fake interventions can expose truths that real procedures sometimes hide. They reveal how much medicine depends not only on what is done, but on the context in which it is believed. The operating room itself can become part of the placebo effect. Step into an operating room, and the atmosphere changes instantly. The lights are brighter. The language is more formal. The machines stand ready. Everyone seems to move with practiced seriousness. For a patient, That environment can feel almost ceremonial, as though one has entered a place where transformation is expected. That matters because the brain is exquisitely sensitive to setting. The operating room does not simply host a procedure. It frames the meaning of the entire event. A patient may feel that only something major could happen in a room like that, and that belief can alter recovery, pain, and confidence afterward. In placebo science, setting is never just background. It is part of what the body responds to. The operating room may therefore act like more than a stage. It can become one of the forces that shapes expectation itself. In some cases, the room begins participating in the effect before the surgery truly does. The more dramatic the treatment, the stronger the response can seem. Human beings are moved by drama, especially when it appears in the form of serious care. A small tablet may suggest mild help. An injection suggests more. A machine with flashing lights suggests even more. Surgery suggests the greatest seriousness of all. In placebo science, this ladder of drama often matters. The more elaborate, invasive, or technologically impressive a treatment appears, the stronger the placebo response can seem. That makes intuitive sense once you understand that the brain is reading significance from the form of the intervention. A dramatic treatment feels important. It demands attention. It creates a strong expectation that something substantial must change. Once that expectation takes hold, symptoms may shift more powerfully. What is fascinating is that the effect may grow even when the treatment itself contains little or no active mechanism. The performance of medicine can become persuasive enough that the body begins following its emotional logic. Placebo procedures remind us that medicine is never just mechanics. It is easy to think of medicine as a series of technical fixes. A joint is repaired, a vessel is opened, a nerve is blocked. Yet placebo procedures reveal that healing is rarely so mechanical in lived experience. Patients do not encounter treatment as disassembled parts. They encounter it as meaning, expectation, ritual, trust, and memory, all woven together. A procedure may have technical skill at its core, but it also carries an emotional and symbolic charge that the body responds to. That is why placebo procedures matter so much. They remind us that medicine always happens inside a human mind as well as a human body. Even when no active correction is made, the setting and significance of intervention can still produce real change in symptoms. This does not weaken medicine. It deepens it. It shows that healing is not only the triumph of mechanism, it is also the response of a person to what treatment means. Healing can begin when a patient feels something serious is being done. There is a moment in medicine when seriousness becomes its own signal. The patient sees the team, hears the plan, senses the precision, and feels that this is not casual or symbolic care. Something substantial is happening. That feeling alone can matter. It can quiet helplessness and replace it with the belief that the problem is finally being addressed. Once that shift occurs, healing may begin in a very real sense. Pain may become easier to bear. Fear may loosen. Confidence may return. The body starts acting as though a burden has been taken seriously at last. This is one reason strong clinical rituals can have such power. They make care feel consequential. In placebo research, that consequential feeling can influence symptoms even when the active ingredient is absent or smaller than assumed. The body responds to seriousness. When a patient truly feels that something major is being done, recovery can begin gathering momentum around that belief. Sometimes ritual and recovery become difficult to separate. At a certain point in placebo research, the neat boundaries begin to blur. Was the patient helped by the procedure itself? By the expectation surrounding it? By the trust it inspired? Or by the whole ritual of care working as one event? Sometimes those pieces are so entangled that separating them becomes nearly impossible. That is especially true in medicine's most dramatic settings, where ritual is not decoration, but part of the treatment atmosphere from the start. Recovery may unfold within that atmosphere so completely, but the symbolic and the physical become difficult to pull apart. This is not a failure of science. It is a clue about how human healing actually works. The body does not divide experience into tidy categories. It responds to the total event. Procedure, story, setting, and meaning all arrive together. In some cases, recovery grows inside that whole woven experience, and ritual becomes one of the threads medicine cannot easily isolate. Children can show placebo effects, even with limited medical knowledge. A child does not need a lecture on pharmacology to respond to treatment. The brain learns much earlier than that. It learns from tone of voice, the confidence of adults, familiar rituals, and the feeling that help has arrived. A colorful liquid, a careful explanation, or the simple fact that a trusted grown-up says this will help, can begin shaping symptoms. That is what makes placebo effects in children so fascinating. They reveal that the response is not built only from abstract medical understanding. It can grow from social trust and emotional meaning, long before a person can explain how medicine works. A child may feel safer, calmer, and more ready to improve because the treatment sits inside a believable story of care. In that moment, relief is not coming from scientific knowledge. It is coming from a nervous system that knows how to respond to reassurance, routine, and the feeling of being looked after. Animals can show placebo-like responses shaped by conditioning. At first, the placebo effect seems like something uniquely human, tied to belief, language, and self-awareness. Then animals complicate the story. They can show placebo-like responses when treatment cues have been paired repeatedly with real effects in the past. A dog that has learned a routine around pain relief may begin responding to the routine itself. A laboratory animal can show changes in behavior or physiology after conditioning has linked a signal with treatment. That is extraordinary, because it suggests part of the placebo effect runs deeper than human storytelling. The nervous system can learn patterns and answer them automatically. A flavor, a setting, or a repeated sequence may become enough to trigger a response, even without active medication. This does not mean animals believe in medicine the way humans do. It means bodies can learn healing cues through experience. Placebo science becomes more intriguing there because it starts to look like a broader principle of biological learning. Caregivers' expectations can influence what symptoms they notice in others. Healing is rarely observed from a distance. It is watched, interpreted, and narrated by other people. That is why caregivers matter so much in placebo research. The parent, partner, or nurse who expect improvement may notice small positive changes quickly and treat them as meaningful. A person who expects worsening may do the opposite. This does not mean anyone is being dishonest. It means symptoms are often filtered through human attention, and attention is shaped by expectation. A child who seems slightly calmer may be judged as much better. A patient who looks tired may be seen as declining. Those judgments then influence how everyone responds next. Reassurance may increase. Concern may spread. In this way, another person's expectation can become part of the illness experience itself. Placebo science reminds us that symptoms do not live in isolation. They are often witnessed through the hopes, fears, and assumptions of the people providing care. Parents and doctors can unintentionally amplify improvement. Encouragement can be powerful enough to change the whole atmosphere around a symptom. When parents or doctors expect a treatment to help, they may speak differently, look more hopeful, and respond more positively to small shifts. A child or patient then picks up those signals immediately. The treatment feels more credible. Relief feels more possible. Attention begins moving toward signs of improvement rather than signs of trouble. That can create a feedback loop. The patient improves a little. The caregiver reacts warmly. The patient feels even more reassured, and symptoms may soften further. No one needs to be acting for this to happen. It can unfold naturally through ordinary human interaction. That is what makes this subject so rich. Medicine is not delivered in a vacuum. It arrives through faces, voices, and relationships. Sometimes improvement is amplified not by adding more chemistry, but by the subtle way belief in improvement changes the social world around the patient. Human healing is often social before it is individual. We like to picture illness as a private event unfolding inside one body, yet healing often begins in the space between people. It begins with who notices suffering, who takes it seriously, who offers reassurance, and who creates the sense that improvement is possible. Before any pill dissolves, the social world has already started shaping the illness experience. A person may feel less alone, less frightened, and more able to cope simply because care has arrived through another human being. That makes healing deeply social from the start. The placebo effect brings this into focus with unusual clarity. Symptoms do not respond only to substances. They respond to trust, attention, and the emotional climate created by others. Long before improvement feels personal, it may have been made more possible by the presence of another mind. In that sense, healing often begins as a shared event. One person's body changes because another person helped make relief believable. Trust can travel through a room before treatment touches a body. Sometimes the most important thing in a medical encounter happens before the prescription is written. A room can carry trust. It can arrive through the way a clinician enters, the calmness of the explanation, the sense that this person knows what they are doing and genuinely cares. The patient feels it almost instantly. Shoulders lower, breathing slows. Fear gives up a little ground. None of that requires a drug to have entered the bloodstream yet. Trust has already started changing the internal state of the person receiving care. That is one reason placebo science feels so profound. It shows that treatment begins in atmosphere as much as in chemistry. The trustworthy room can shape what symptoms mean and how strongly they dominate experience. By the time the medicine touches the body may already have changed in response to trust alone. Relief does not always begin with molecules. Sometimes it begins with the feeling that one is finally in safe hands. Empathy can strengthen outcomes without changing the medication itself. Two patients can receive the same treatment and walk away with different experiences, simply because one felt deeply understood and the other did not. That is the extraordinary power of empathy in medicine. When a clinician responds with warmth, attention, and real human presence, the treatment can feel more believable, more personal, and more likely to help. The medication stays exactly the same, yet the outcome may improve because the mind enters the experience differently. Anxiety falls, trust rises. Symptoms may feel less overwhelming because the patient no longer feels abandoned inside them. This is not sentimental window dressing around real care. It can become part of real care. The placebo effect helps explain why. Empathy changes the treatment context, and context changes how the nervous system responds. In that sense, kindness is not merely comforting. It can influence the path symptoms take. The chemistry stays the same, but the experience of healing becomes stronger. A warm consultation can alter how symptoms are experienced. A consultation is not only a transfer of information, it is an emotional event. A warm conversation can change how a patient inhabits the body that day. When someone feels heard, respected, and calmly guided, symptoms may begin to feel less threatening. Pain may lose some of its dominance. Nausea may feel less alarming. Fatigue may seem less like a sign of collapse and more like something manageable. The body has not been cured in that instant, yet the experience of illness has shifted. That is what makes the consultation itself so interesting in placebo science. It can act almost like part of the treatment. A cold encounter may leave symptoms feeling harsher. A warm one can soften their grip. The difference lies in meaning, expectation, and emotional safety. Illness feels different when it is carried alone than when it is held inside a supportive conversation. Sometimes a room, a voice, and a few thoughtful minutes can change everything. Listening carefully may become part of what makes care effective. To be listened to with full attention is a powerful medical event. It tells the patient that the symptom matters, that the suffering is real, and that someone is willing to stay with it long enough to understand its shape. That experience alone can begin changing how the symptom feels. The patient may become calmer, less defensive, and less trapped inside the fear that nothing will be taken seriously. Careful listening can also improve the precision of treatment, but its value goes beyond better information. It changes the emotional physics of the encounter. The person no longer feels alone with the illness. The body may respond to that shift with less tension and less distress. Placebo science helps illuminate why this matters. Listening is not passive. It becomes part of the treatment environment. In some cases, one of the first healing acts is not prescribing or explaining. It is making the patient feel unmistakably heard. Feeling safe can change the way illness is processed. The body behaves differently in safety than it does in threat. When danger feels near, attention narrows, discomfort sharpens, and the nervous system prepares to defend itself. Symptoms often feel larger under those conditions. When safety returns, the whole system can change tone. Muscles ease, breathing steadies. Sensations become less urgent and less frightening. That is why safety matters so much in illness. It does not erase disease, but it can alter the way disease is experienced. The placebo effect reveals this beautifully. A credible treatment, a trusted clinician, and a reassuring setting can help create a sense of safety before any active mechanism has done its work. Once that happens, symptoms may be processed differently. Pain can feel less punishing. Nausea can feel less overwhelming. Fear may stop amplifying everything it touches. Healing becomes easier when the body no longer believes it is under siege. Safety can quietly change the meaning of being ill. Placebos rarely cure disease, but they can transform experience. This is one of the most important truths in the whole subject. A placebo is usually not powerful because it erases the underlying disease. It is powerful because it can change what living with that disease feels like. Pain may soften. Anxiety may loosen. Nausea may settle. Fatigue may become less oppressive. Those changes do not always remove the cause, but they can transform the experience of being sick. That distinction matters deeply. It keeps the science honest, while preserving the wonder of what the placebo effect can do. Medicine is not only about destroying pathogens or correcting tissue. It is also about reducing suffering. If an inert treatment delivered in the right context can make suffering smaller, that is not trivial. It is an important part of human care. The placebo effect becomes most compelling when we stop asking it to perform miracles and start recognizing how profoundly it can reshape the lived reality of illness. They can ease suffering, even when they do not remove the cause. A splinter may still be in the finger. An inflamed joint may still be inflamed. A chronic illness may still be present in the background. Yet suffering can change, even when the cause remains. That is one of the most subtle and important lessons in placebo science. The body and brain do not experience illness as a direct, one-to-one reflection of damage. They interpret it. They amplify some parts, soften others, and attach fear or relief along the way. If a placebo changes that interpretive layer, suffering can ease without the disease itself vanishing. This does not make the suffering unreal. It makes suffering more responsive than we once assumed. Relief can matter even when it is partial. A patient who sleeps better, fears less, or hurts less, is living in a different world from the one they inhabited before. Sometimes that change in experience is a real and meaningful form of care. A placebo will not kill bacteria, but it may calm nausea. The limits of placebo science are part of what makes it credible. An inert pill cannot wipe out an infection or directly poison a bacterium into oblivion. Biology has boundaries, and some problems require chemistry, surgery, or other active intervention. Yet symptoms linked to the brain and body together can still respond in remarkable ways. Nausea is a perfect example. It is physical, deeply unpleasant, and tightly linked to expectation, emotion, and bodily prediction. That makes it more open to placebo effects than an invading microbe ever could be. A person may still need antibiotics for the infection, but the queasiness, dread, or bodily distress surrounding the illness may improve through expectation and treatment context. This distinction is essential. It stops placebo science from becoming fantasy. It shows exactly where the effect is most interesting, not in replacing medicine, but in revealing how experience itself can sometimes be softened. Tumors do not vanish because someone expects them to. It would be comforting if hope alone could dissolve every physical threat in the body, but placebo research does not support that fantasy. A tumor does not disappear simply because a patient believes a treatment will work. Cancer cells do not surrender to expectation in that direct way. That limit matters because it protects the subject from myth and keeps it anchored in reality. The placebo effect is extraordinary, yet it is not omnipotent. It can change symptoms, emotional suffering, and the subjective experience of illness, but it does not usually reverse serious disease mechanisms by belief alone. Paradoxically, this limit makes the whole phenomenon more impressive, not less. It shows that placebo effects are real precisely because they operate in specific domains, rather than pretending to conquer all biology. Once that is understood, the science becomes sharper. Hope remains valuable, but it is not a substitute for the treatments that directly confront disease itself. The placebo effect has limits, and those limits matter. A scientific idea becomes stronger when its boundaries are clear. The placebo effect is no exception. Its power is real, but it does not stretch infinitely across every corner of medicine. It is better at altering symptoms than reversing structural disease. It is more persuasive in pain, nausea, fatigue, and mood than in problems that require direct physical correction. These limits matter because they keep the subject honest. Without them, placebo science would slide into mysticism and lose the very credibility that makes it so fascinating. The truth is more interesting than that. Here is a force that can genuinely shift human experience, yet only within certain conditions. It can change how suffering is felt without always changing what caused the suffering. That makes it neither trivial nor magical. It makes it precise. The limits are not disappointments. They are part of the map. They show where expectation can help and where other biology must take over. It works best on symptoms shaped by the brain and body together. Some symptoms sit at the intersection of tissue and interpretation. Pain is the clearest example, but it is not alone. Fatigue, nausea, anxiety, and breathlessness could all be influenced by how the brain predicts, monitors, and gives meaning to bodily signals. These are the places where the placebo effect often has its greatest reach. The symptoms are real, yet they are built from a conversation between body and brain rather than from simple mechanical damage alone. That conversation gives expectation room to intervene. If the mind shifts towards safety, relief, or confidence, the symptom can change shape. This is what makes the placebo effect so captivating. It shows where human biology is most interpretive and therefore most responsive to meaning. The effect is strongest where experience is co-created by body and brain together. In those domains, treatment is never only chemistry. It is also prediction, attention, memory, and context working side by side. Pain, fatigue, and mood often respond more than infections do. Some corners of illness are more open to placebo effects than others. Pain, fatigue, and mood tend to be highly responsive because they are shaped by brain networks that interpret, regulate, and amplify bodily signals. They are dynamic experiences, constantly influenced by expectation, attention, and emotional state. Infections are different. A bacterial invasion does not usually care what the patient expects. It follows its own biological course unless something active interrupts it. That contrast is one of the most useful lessons in placebo science. It shows where belief can reach and where it cannot. A patient may genuinely feel less miserable even while the infection itself remains untouched. That is not a failure of the placebo effect. It is a clue to its proper territory. Symptoms built through the brain-body relationship can often shift under expectation. Problems driven by microbes, structural damage, or malignant growth usually demand something more direct and biologically forceful. Placebos show where expectation helps and where biology refuses. Few subjects draw the border between mind and body as clearly as this one. The placebo effect reveals domains where expectation can genuinely soften experience. Yet it also reveals places where biology refuses to bend. Pain may yield. Nausea may ease. Anxiety may settle. An untreated infection, a broken bone, or a growing tumor usually will not care very much what the patient hopes. That contrast is valuable. It gives the placebo effect its shape. Without those refusals, the subject would collapse into fantasy. With them, it becomes one of the clearest demonstrations that some aspects of illness are deeply shaped by prediction, while others are stubbornly mechanistic. Expectation can help, but only up to a point. Beyond that point, biology insists on its own rules. Placebo science is so compelling because it does not erase that tension. It maps it. It shows where the mind can participate and where the body demands something more. They are powerful, but they are not magic. The placebo effect can look magical from a distance. An empty pill changes pain. A sham procedure improves movement. A confident explanation softens nausea. Yet none of this is sorcery. It is the nervous system responding to expectation, meaning, context, and learned patterns in ways that can be measured and studied. Calling it magic would actually make it smaller, because magic ends curiosity. The real story is stranger and richer. Human experience is built through interpretation as well as sensation, and that gives treatment rituals room to matter deeply. At the same time, the effect has boundaries. It cannot simply wish away every disease. That tension is what makes it scientifically beautiful. Here is a force that can do a great deal, yet not everything. It is powerful precisely because it is real, not mystical. The wonder comes not from breaking biology, but from discovering how much biology already listens to meaning. The placebo effect is real precisely because it is limited. If placebo effects claimed to cure every illness, thoughtful people would stop taking them seriously. Their reality depends on their limits. They work in patterns, not in fantasies. They influence symptoms more than disease mechanisms. They show their strength in pain, nausea, fatigue, mood, and other experiences shaped by expectation and interpretation. They weaken where microbes, malignant cells, or structural damage demand direct physical solutions. That is exactly why the placebo effect deserves respect. It behaves like a real biological phenomenon with a recognizable territory, not like a myth that expands to fit every hope. The limits give it structure. They tell us where the mind can lean into the body and where the body closes the door. In science, truth often arrives with edges. The placebo effect has those edges, and that is what makes it trustworthy. It is real because it does not pretend to be everything. It shows us exactly what it can do. Clinical trials need placebos to reveal what treatments really do. Imagine a patient takes a new drug and feels better a week later. At first glance, the conclusion seems obvious. The drug worked. But medicine learned long ago that this kind of story can be deeply misleading. Symptoms change for many reasons. People improve because they expect to improve, because the illness naturally shifts, or because simply being treated changes how they feel. That is why placebos became so important in clinical trials. They give researchers something to compare against, a way to ask whether the active treatment did more than hope, ritual, and time alone. Without that comparison, medicine would keep mistaking impressive stories for reliable evidence. The placebo is not there to dismiss the patient's improvement. It is there to measure it honestly. In that sense, the placebo became one of science's most useful mirrors. It reflects back everything that is not the drug itself, so researchers can finally see what the drug truly adds. Without placebos, hope can masquerade as hard evidence. Hope is powerful enough to fool everyone in the room. A patient feels better, the doctor feels encouraged, and a new treatment starts to look like a breakthrough. Yet without a placebo comparison, no one can be sure what actually caused the improvement. Was it the chemistry of the drug? Was it the patient's expectation? Was it the natural rise and fall of symptoms over time? This is where placebo-controlled trials became one of medicine's most important inventions. They protect science from the seduction of a good story. Hope can be vivid, convincing, and emotionally satisfying. But it is not the same as proof. A treatment may seem extraordinary until it is compared with something inert delivered in the same medical frame. Only then can researchers see whether the active treatment truly outperformed belief and context. The placebo reveals how easily hope can wear the costume of evidence and persuade even the smartest observers. Improvement alone does not prove a drug actually worked. One of the hardest lessons in medicine is that feeling better is not always the same thing as having been helped by the treatment itself. People can improve for many reasons. Symptoms may have peaked before the first dose was swallowed. Stress may have eased. Sleep may have improved. The simple act of receiving care may have shifted the whole experience of illness. That is why improvement on its own is such a slippery piece of evidence. It feels convincing because it is personal and immediate, yet it cannot tell us what caused the change. A new drug may look effective when patients recover after taking it, but that same recovery might have happened anyway. Placebo-controlled trials were built to solve exactly this problem. They ask the deeper question, not whether people improved, but whether they improved more than they would have under the pull of expectation, time, and ordinary symptom fluctuation. Symptoms can shift naturally, even without treatment at all. The body is rarely still. Symptoms swell, fade, wander, and return in patterns that can make almost any treatment look effective if you catch the timing just right. A migraine may ease on its own. Back pain may calm after a flare. Nausea may lift by the next morning. Chronic conditions often move in waves, which means people commonly seek treatment when things feel worst, then improve afterwards simply because the peak has passed. This natural swing can be astonishingly deceptive. It creates the feeling that the last thing tried must have caused the change. Placebos help reveal this hidden motion. They remind researchers that illness is not a fixed line but a moving target. Without that understanding, medicine would repeatedly mistake natural improvement for therapeutic success. The symptom changed, yes, but that does not mean the treatment did it. Sometimes the body was already on its way, somewhere new, before the medicine ever arrived. Placebo groups help separate chemistry from expectation. A treatment experience is never made of chemistry alone. It also includes the clinician's confidence, the patient's hope, the ritual of taking something, and the feeling that change may finally be possible. All of that can influence symptoms. A placebo group exists to capture those forces, so researchers can subtract them from the full picture. One group receives the active treatment. Another receives something inert in the same setting, with the same ceremony and the same expectation of benefit. If both groups improve, that tells an important story. If the active treatment improves people more, that tells another. The placebo group becomes a scientific filter, separating what came from belief and context from what came from the treatment's specific mechanism. That is what makes it so valuable. It does not insult hope. It measures hope. It allows medicine to see where chemistry truly begins after expectation has already played its part in the drama of healing. Randomized trials are designed to outwit wishful thinking. Human beings are expert pattern finders and terrible judges of what caused what. We want to believe the new treatment works. We want the dramatic recovery to mean something. We want the story to end with certainty. Randomized trials were built to resist that impulse. By assigning people to different groups by chance, researchers reduce the influence of bias, optimism, and hidden differences between patients. Randomization is a way of humbling intuition. It prevents doctors and researchers from unconsciously steering easier cases into one group and harder cases into another. It makes the comparison fairer before the results even begin. That is what gives placebo-controlled research its strength. It does not assume human judgment is enough. It builds a structure that protects science from the mind's habit of seeing what it wants to see. In that way, randomized trials are not cold or cynical. They are one of medicine's smartest defenses against self-deception. Blinding protects science from the stories our minds like telling. The mind is always writing narratives. If a patient knows they received the real treatment, every small change may feel meaningful. If a doctor knows the same thing, their questions, expressions, and interpretations may shift without them realizing it. Blinding was designed to interrupt that storytelling impulse. When patients do not know which treatment they received, and ideally when researchers do not know either, expectation loses some of its power to shape reporting and judgment. That does not make the study lifeless. It makes it cleaner. Blinding helps ensure that the differences measured are not simply the product of enthusiasm, disappointment, or subtle suggestion. It protects the fragile line between observation and desire. This is one reason placebo science became so central to modern research. It showed that the human mind does not merely experience medicine. It interprets it constantly. Blinding acts like a curtain, keeping those interpretations from slipping too easily into what gets called evidence. Placebos make modern medicine more honest, not less humane. Some people hear the word placebo and imagine coldness, as though medicine becomes more suspicious of the patient's experience. In truth, the placebo made medicine more honest in a way that ultimately serves patients better. It forced researchers to admit how easily treatment can appear to work when hope, ritual, and natural recovery are doing much of the lifting. That honesty protects people from ineffective drugs, unnecessary procedures, and beautiful theories that fail when tested properly. Far from being cruel, this is an act of respect. It says patients deserve treatments that outperform belief alone. At the same time, placebo science preserved something deeply humane. It revealed that context, reassurance, and expectation are not embarrassments to be discarded. They are real parts of healing that should be understood and used wisely. The placebo therefore made medicine both stricter and richer. It taught science to measure more carefully and care more deeply at the same time. They reveal how much healing comes from the treatment setting itself. A clinic is never just a building. It is a landscape of signals. The waiting room, the clinician's tone, the examination, the prescription pad, the machines, the smell of antiseptic. All of it tells the brain that something important is happening. Placebos expose how much those signals matter. When an inert treatment given in a convincing medical setting still changes symptoms, the setting itself becomes visible as part of the effect. That is one of the great revelations of placebo science. Healing is not produced only by molecules. It is also shaped by environment, ritual, and emotional meaning. The treatment setting can reduce fear, increase expectation, and make relief feel possible before the active mechanism has had any chance to work. Once researchers recognized that, medicine stopped looking like a series of isolated chemical events. It began to look like a human experience unfolding inside a carefully constructed world, and that world has consequences. The placebo effect helps science measure what medicine really changes. Medicine does many things at once. It can alter the disease itself, shift the experience of symptoms, calm fear, create hope, and change the patient's relationship to illness. Without a placebo comparison, those layers blur together. Improvement appears as one smooth event, and no one can tell which part came from the drug, which part came from expectation, and which part came from time. The placebo effect gives science a way to untangle that knot. It shows what changes when treatment meaning is present, but active chemistry is not. That makes it easier to see what the medicine itself truly contributes. In this sense, the placebo is not an obstacle to progress. It is one of the tools that made real progress measurable. It allows researchers to ask a deeper question than simple recovery. What exactly changed because of the treatment mechanism, and what changed because human beings respond so powerfully to being treated at all? Some placebo responses fade quickly, while others can endure. Not every placebo effect behaves the same way. Some rise fast and vanish just as quickly, like a spark of relief that burns brightly for a short time before symptoms creep back in. Others linger, especially when the treatment ritual is repeated and the patient's expectation remains strong. That variety is one of the most intriguing things about placebo science. It shows that the effect is not a single uniform event. It depends on what kind of symptom is involved, how the treatment was delivered, and whether the experience keeps being reinforced over time. A brief headache may respond differently from a long-standing pattern of pain or fatigue. The placebo effect can therefore act more like weather than machinery. Sometimes it passes in an afternoon. Sometimes it reshapes the landscape for much longer. The duration tells us something important. Expectation is powerful, but it lives inside memory, repetition, and changing circumstances, not outside them. Repeated rituals can strengthen a placebo response over time. The body learns from repetition. A single treatment ritual can spark expectation, but a repeated ritual can deepen it until the whole sequence becomes familiar and persuasive. Taking a pill each morning, sitting in the same chair, hearing the same reassuring words, or following the same therapeutic pattern can gradually strengthen the response. The nervous system starts linking the routine itself with relief. That is why repeated placebo rituals can become more powerful over time. They do not remain isolated events. They turn into learned signals, and learned signals can shape physiology in surprisingly strong ways. This is one place where placebo science begins to look almost like training. The body is being taught what to anticipate, and anticipation starts arriving more quickly and more confidently. The ritual becomes part of the treatment rather than merely the wrapper around it. Repetition gives meaning a rhythm, and once that rhythm is established, the response can become more stable and convincing. Previous treatment success can make future placebos work better. Success leaves a trace. When a real treatment has helped in the past, the brain remembers more than the symptom relief alone. It remembers the pill bottle, the clinic visit, the timing, the routines, and the whole emotional pattern surrounding improvement. Later, those same cues can make a placebo more effective because the body has learned that they belong to a story with a good ending. Expectation becomes easier when it has already been rewarded once before. This is one reason prior success can make future placebo responses stronger. The nervous system is not starting from zero. It already carries a map of what relief looked like and how it arrived. Once those signs appear again, the brain may begin preparing for improvement almost automatically. Placebo science becomes especially fascinating here because it reveals healing as a memory-shaped event. The past victory over symptoms can quietly teach the body how to respond the next time hope enters the room. A failed treatment can weaken the next placebo before it begins. Experience cuts both ways. Just as past success can strengthen expectation, disappointment can drain it. If a patient has tried something promising and nothing happened, the next treatment enters a much colder atmosphere. Hope is thinner. Trust is more fragile. The mind becomes cautious, and the nervous system may be slower to prepare for relief. That means a placebo response can be weakened before the new ritual even starts. The body has learned not only what healing looks like, but what failed healing feels like too. This is one of the sobering truths in placebo science. Expectation is not infinitely renewable. It can be bruised by repeated disappointment. That makes clinical history enormously important. A person arriving after many failed treatments is not beginning from the same place as someone new to therapy and still full of possibility. The past travels with the patient, and sometimes it enters the room ahead of the medicine itself. Personality may matter less than context in placebo responses. It is tempting to imagine that placebo effects belong mostly to certain kinds of people, the especially suggestible, the unusually optimistic, or the deeply trusting. Yet the research has often pointed somewhere more interesting. Context may matter more than personality. The treatment setting, the clinician's manner, the ritual, the clarity of the explanation, and the symptom being treated can all shape the response more strongly than a stable trait inside the patient. That is a striking idea because it shifts attention away from who the person is and toward what surrounds them. The placebo effect stops looking like a quirk of character and starts looking like a feature of human biology under the right conditions. Almost anyone may become responsive when the context is persuasive enough. That makes the phenomenon less mysterious and more universal. It is not necessarily about special people. It is about the extraordinary sensitivity of ordinary people to meaning, care, and expectation. Culture can shape which treatments feel powerful or convincing. No treatment arrives in a vacuum. Every pill, injection, herb, machine, and ritual enters a culture that already has opinions about what healing should look like. In one setting, a white tablet may feel authoritative. In another, an injection may seem stronger, or a bitter-tasting remedy may feel more believable, because bitterness itself suggests potency. Culture teaches the body what kinds of treatment carry weight and meaning. That means placebo responses can vary depending on the symbols a society trusts most. This is one of the most fascinating dimensions of the subject. The placebo effect is biological, but the meanings that drive it are partly cultural. Different communities may find different healing forms persuasive, not because the chemistry changes, but because the story around the treatment does. A person does not respond only as an individual nervous system. They also respond as someone shaped by shared beliefs about what real medicine is supposed to feel like. Words like powerful or gentle can alter what patients feel next. Language can work like a treatment signal all by itself. Call a therapy powerful, and it may sound more decisive, more forceful, and more likely to create change. Call it gentle, and it may feel safer, smoother, and easier to trust. Neither word changes the chemistry, yet both can alter what the patient expects to happen next. That matters because expectation is one of the main pathways through which placebo and nocebo effects arise. A single adjective can tilt the nervous system toward confidence, caution, or fear. This is one reason clinical language deserves such careful thought. Words do not merely describe a treatment. They frame it emotionally. They tell the body what sort of event is beginning. The placebo effect becomes especially vivid here because nothing material has changed at all. Only the wording did. And yet that wording may shape pain, side effects, or relief by altering the atmosphere in which the treatment is experienced. The story around a treatment can become part of the treatment. Every treatment arrives wrapped in narrative. There is the explanation of how it works, the memory of what helped before, the reputation it carries, and the patient's private story about what this might mean for the future. That surrounding story is not a decorative extra. It can become part of the treatment itself. A convincing narrative makes relief feel possible, while a frightening or doubtful one can make symptoms harder to shift. In placebo science, this matters enormously. The body responds not only to substance, but to significance. If a treatment enters the mind as a turning point, that changes the internal conditions under which symptoms are processed. The story becomes biological through expectation, attention, and emotion. This is one reason medicine is never only technical. It is also narrative. Human beings take treatments inside the stories they believe about them, and those stories can alter what healing feels like from the very first dose. Placebos reveal that healing begins long before chemistry arrives. The most radical lesson of placebo science may be this one. Healing does not always wait for molecules to start moving through the bloodstream. It can begin earlier, in the moment a treatment becomes believable. The appointment is booked. The clinician explains the plan. The prescription is written. The patient feels, perhaps for the first time in weeks, that something might finally change. That shift alone can begin altering symptoms. Fear loosens. Attention changes. The body starts leaning toward relief before the active mechanism has even had time to act. This does not make chemistry unimportant. It makes healing larger than chemistry. The placebo effect reveals that treatment begins in expectation, context, and emotional meaning long before any drug reaches its target. The story of recovery starts earlier than we once thought. In some cases, the first real movement toward relief happens not in the bloodstream, but in the moment hope becomes believable. The placebo effect proves that expectation can leave fingerprints in flesh. Expectation sounds invisible. It belongs to thoughts, predictions, and inner stories about what may happen next. Yet the placebo effect shows that expectation does not remain abstract for long. It can alter pain pathways, change neurotransmitter activity, shift heart rate, reshape attention, and modify how symptoms are physically experienced. In that sense, expectation leaves fingerprints in flesh. It marks the body in ways that can be felt and measured. That is what makes the placebo effect such a profound scientific idea. It reveals that the border between mind and body is far more porous than common sense once assumed. A future imagined by the brain can move into tissue, nerve, and sensation. This does not mean thought rules everything. It means thought can participate in biology. The body listens to what the mind predicts. And when that prediction is strong enough, it can leave behind real traces in the living machinery of human experience. And now, as we come to the end of this quiet journey, you might begin to notice how much we've uncovered together. We started with something simple, almost dismissible, a pill with no active ingredient. And yet, as we wandered deeper, that simple idea unfolded into something far more intricate, a world where expectation can soften pain, where trust can change the body before treatment even begins, where meaning, memory, and ritual quietly shape what it feels like to be unwell and what it feels like to heal. We explored how the brain prepares for relief, how stories become biology, and how even the setting of care can influence the experience of symptoms. We saw that the mind does not sit outside the body, observing from a distance. It participates. It predicts. It responds. And perhaps now, as you rest here, you can feel that same principle in a softer way. The way a thought can change a feeling. The way a shift in attention can ease tension. The way simply allowing yourself to settle can begin to change your state. If you're still awake and you'd like to continue drifting through ideas like these, there's another video waiting for you on screen. And if you've enjoyed this gentle exploration, you might like to subscribe or leave a quiet thought below so others can find their way here too. But for now, there's nothing more you need to do. Let your breathing slow. Let your body soften into the surface beneath you. And allow your mind to drift, loose and unhurried, as the day fades gently away. Sleep well and good night.